grab a bottle or snap a tab. It's time for Antebrewum, South Georgia Beer Report. South Georgia's first craft beer podcast with Ryan and Danny. This month, Ryan and Danny sit down with Pretoria Fields Collective from Albany, Georgia, a cool new farmhouse brewery opening soon with a unique farm-to-brewery concept, including growing their own hops and grains. All the guys blast through a 5 points, 4-minute 4-pack review, and Ryan puts Chris and Tripp through a rigorous round of Cask Me Another, followed by an epic farm-themed craft beer dad joke of the month. Cheers. Hey, welcome everyone to this latest episode of Antebrewum, South Georgia Beer Report with Pretoria Fields. I'm Danny.
I'm Ryan, and you've reached the best, the first, the only South Georgia Craft Beer podcast. So congratulations, you found us, and we are super excited. Woo-hoo! We've got Albany's first, only, and best brewery at Brew Pub, I think.
Brewery. No, we're production brewery.
Brewery.
There's another brewery there.
What?
Isn't there a Miller Brewery in Albany?
Oh,
there is.
Yeah, that's small. We don't.
I said craft.
That's a small brewery.
You did not say craft.
I did.
You did not.
We'll put
Regardless.
it back and post it.
They don't. Yeah, they're a brew pub style. They don't do much.
Are you the guys that make Henry's hard soda?
I think they don't. I think that's most of the stuff they brew there is those brands, not the actual. Really like stuff. I could be wrong.
We've got Tripp, who's the owner, and
sir.
Chris, who is the COO, which Danny just found out means Chief Operating Officer.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to get into Pretoria Fields Collective very soon, but first, what you drinking?
I'm drinking, I think several of us are drinking some of our sponsors' beers today from 5 Points. So we'll talk more about them later, but I'm drinking the Mother Earth Buku Mosaic IPA.
Oh,
Potato, what you drinking?
Tater. Yeah, we're about to call her Tater for the remainder
Also
of the
drinking the Mother Earth Mosaic IPA.
Very good.
I'm drinking the North Coast Alt beer. It's called Alt Nouveau. I don't know if I'm butchering that or not, but
I think you're right.
Sounds good to me. And I'm drinking a little-known craft beer called Dale's Pale Ale.
For anyone listening, the reason why we're laughing is because Potato, who is now famous on this podcast, is totally taking over the camera at the moment. Now she's settled down.
Yeah, she's better now. Anyways, Dale's Pale Ale, a small little canned beer out of a brewery called Oscar Blues in beautiful Brevard, North Carolina. Well, it used to be in...
Isn't it Brevard?
yeah, they have two separate productions.
Yeah, the one I'm from Colorado, and I'm blanking on the name of the Colorado city where it was brewed. I'm sure
it's not on the can.
No, the production was in Longmont, but it was a little town. Anyways, I've been there. I should know.
They have I think they have mountain biking trails in Brevard. I went to college up in Asheville, so it's right down the road. Potato is loving the attention.
Potato.
Anyway.
Yeah. stole the show.
Yeah, I think
literally.
I think Dale is an Alabama native, so he's a Southern boy, so we can appreciate a good.
This is the first beer I really remember being like, what is that beautiful bitter taste?
Yeah.
Like, we'd gotten Fat Tire, but this was out really early, and I was like, what is going on with this beer? And I later found out it was hops, and I was a happy man.
Yeah.
We've talked way too long about Oscar Blues.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who's sponsoring this week?
I digress. Yeah.
So far, we've hit Oscar Blues and Potato the Cat.
Yeah.
What's next?
5 Points Fine Wine and Spirits has provided us with 4 beers for our 4-minute 4-beer 4-pack review later. And as always, Daniel Opal of Opal Designs for making these sick logo. Oh, I changed my shirt.
I got it on.
Awesome.
Yep.
We both showed up with the same dress at prom, so Ryan made me change shirts.
Is that the 5 Points that's in Athens?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's a 5 Points in Valdosta. It's a horrible intersection to drive through, but the best craft beer store in town there is 5 Points Fine Wine and Spirits.
Awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
And they provide us with beer to taste. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Moving on to Pretoria Fields.
This is starting out great. All right, here we go. Well, go ahead and introduce the brewery and introduce yourselves and tell us just the basic
Well, I'm
elements
Tripp
of it.
Morgan. I'm the owner. I'm actually a physician in Albany. Brewing, I've been doing it for 20 years. Started in college, basically in chemistry class. One of my buddies got to talking one day, and we started living together the next quarter, and we were brewing beer in our trailer. So it's been an ongoing thing. I've obviously liked the science part of it as much as anything else. The laws in Georgia have been crazy, especially they've recently gotten changed. I think everything's fast forwarded at least 10 years with the new change, but it was scary for a long time to think about opening a craft beer and sort of managing that. But with the right design and getting a little bit older, about 3 or 4 years ago, we undertook this process, really starting with a field and a farm out in Pretoria, Georgia, which is where our namesake comes from. So our farm is right there in unincorporated Pretoria, Georgia. Therefore, we're Pretoria Fields. We were a farm before we were a brewery, and the whole idea to begin with was this added value, with the brewery being added value to the farm. And we have found some very good partners in our downtown community. And over the past 2 years, we've completely changed Stokes. We've made it a downtown brewery. It's increased in size and scope and passion. And so we got some good energy going into what I hope is a good opening coming up.
Yeah. And so the farm started with the idea of it was going to be a farm to supply the brewery, or was it just a vegetable farm or an animal farm, or what?
So we actually have 3 separate farms, but one of the farms has been in his family for a long time.
Okay, cool.
And so essentially it was just a way for them to try to make these farms more profitable.
Okay.
So early on, I think the farm down in Camilla, we have a farm in Camilla, Georgia. We have the farm in Pretoria in Doherty County, and then we also have a farm in Lee County. But essentially that's where the brewery was born out of, was their attempt to make the farm more profitable.
That's awesome.
And find a way to get it off, It started out where I believe the plans, this was before I was involved, but the plans were to put the brewery actually out there on the farm itself, and then had some issues with zoning. And
I remember reading about that back in the day.
Oh man, they thought somebody was going to get shot out there. There was, you wouldn't believe the kind of arguments.
The only bars I go to in Albany all end up in bar fights.
That's right. Didn't want any kind of rebel rousing going on out there or something. I don't know if that's a good term or correct term or not, but yeah. So there was a bunch of conjecture about what might happen had there been a brewery out there in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, and the city of Albany got involved in some downtown development dollars, and decided to entice us to come downtown. And the scope has changed drastically, but we're excited about it.
Yeah, so that'll be good. I think that's what they're doing in Valdosta too with Georgia Beer Company, is in some way helping them out to entice them to downtown.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because if you realize downtown is just a couple blocks that way from my house, and I can see their brewery building from my driveway.
That's awesome.
Which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Could spend a lot of time there.
Yeah. So you said you've been brewing for 20 years, and so when did the whole idea really start coming together? When did it start?
About 3 or 4 years ago. It seems crazy that it's been that long. I bought an additional farm in Albany, and this was the one in Pretoria. And there was about 20 or 30 acres we didn't really know what to do with. It had an old wood mill on it. Mm-hmm. And so we were kind of tossing around things. I talked to a friend of mine, just shooting ideas across from him, because he's an entrepreneur also. And I said, it's funny, what about a brewery? And we started thinking about it, talking about the markets and stuff. And he introduced me to another guy who we got more information from, and sort of went through the beginning stages of it. And as all projects like this do, it sort of developed a life of its own. I mean, it has it's taken on different forms. It's changed a little bit. You know, obviously we've changed locations now, but probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it's built from that. You know, I think we got something great. Our, you know, brewers that farm, farmers that brew. Really, we want to be the best products or best ingredients that you can have in beer, all as much organic as possible. One thing we have learned is we've converted part of our farms to organic farms over the past 2 or 3 years, and it is not easy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that people were using chemicals to kill weeds and kill bugs for 100 years.
My wife spent a couple summers in Vermont working on an entirely organic farm, and I'd go up and visit her, but the work never stops.
It never stops.
It never stops. But the flip side is what comes out. The products are phenomenal.
Ooh.
Like, that was some of the best dinners I had. Was just stuff they would go out and pick and cook, and it was just super fresh. So hopefully that will translate real well into the beer.
Yeah, we hope so. We certainly hope so.
That's a good transition into the next question, which is kind of talk about or explain your sort of ideas for the farm-to-brewery concept and collective. How is that all going to work exactly?
So, it was all based around the idea about, farmers are traditionally bad marketers. So what we wanted to do was try to help these farmers market their farm goods in a way that would be most profitable for them and end up having the best benefit for the community as a whole. So that's where the idea of a collective comes from, is not only supplying farm goods for beer from our farms, but trying to encourage local farmers to do the same. Right. To begin with, we talked about, all right, we've got these 350 acres. What are we going to do with them? Clearly, we can't supply all of the grains that are needed for our production beers off of our farm, but what we can do is make some estate ales and make some beers that are native to Georgia, using only ingredients from Georgia. So we think
really
that's kind of an altruistic thing that we're doing that might differ from, say, anybody else out there. I think there's some people like Ale Apothecary who really has a, that's one of his, guidelines, and there's a few other people who are trying to do that, but I think that's really would separate us.
Well, yeah, is there? I know we talked a little bit about this before, but is there another brewery in Georgia that is a farm to brewery? I know that they will have beers that say this is supplied from this, but I can't think of one where conceptually that's the primary focus.
I'm not exactly sure. I know that Wrecking Bar Brew Pub, I know those guys are cultivating hops and doing a few things. I don't know to what extent or what scale they're doing it. I know Omaha Brewing Company, I know they grew a bunch of cucumbers, I believe, and did a cucumber beer with that. But I believe we are Georgia's first farm brewery. We're really born out of the farm. I think that differentiates us not only in the state of Georgia, but in our nation as a whole. We are farmers first and brewers second. The majority of our bread and butter comes from the small grains we grow on our farm. That's why it was a perfect fit to start trying to make beer from those small grains. So I see us going into similar vein as Blackberry Farms Brewery up in Tennessee or something.
Nice.
So that kind of brings me up, what are some of the breweries that kind of inspired you or you look to for some guidance maybe?
Definitely Blackberry Farms Brewery, Jester King, all those guys have attention. Ale Apothecary, I was lucky enough to get one of his beers. Those are, incredibly hard to find. They're a very small batch. So that was kind of listening to him and listening to a few other people on, I think I listened to the Ale Apothecary on The Session, another wonderful podcast. And some of those guys have been kind of our driving forces. And then, of course, locally, Creature Comforts. That's actually where I got my start kind of in the professional brewing world. Those guys have been a huge influence on what we do and our
and they've worked with some organic farmers, organic grain producers that are right near Athens, and we've actually worked with the organic grain farmers to help us start up our farm. So and that's a cool thing about, I think, beer and the beer industry that or the craft beer industry is such a collaborative thing. I mean, everybody's trying to make different products, make things better, do it with just unique things. Really going back to a time when there really wasn't anything but local beer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we always talk about how important it is, or how much we desire that going back to that local neighborhood brewery in bigger cities. I talk about this all the time, but I'm gonna say it again anyways. In Denver, you can walk to breweries in many neighborhoods, and it's like your local brewery, and it, you know, it's not giant, but it's your local brewery, but things are fresh and they know you and stuff like that. And so this kind of going back to like where are these, you know, getting back to kind of localized beer for the local area is just so important and good for the beer community.
Getting to Georgia, it's just taking time to spread to South Georgia. A couple weekends ago, I was in Decatur and to visit some friends, and dropped off my car at my friend's apartment, and from their apartment you can walk to Wild Heaven, 3 Taverns, and Blue Tarp. Piece of cake.
Yeah, I spent some time working at Wild Heaven in Decatur,
That's nice.
and if we had a piece of equipment break down, we could just run across the street, you know, on really quickly and come back. But it's you get spoiled, right? You get spoiled in those cities, and you know, these underserved markets are where I see the best growth in the beer market, but also where you see that, you know.
And we're very close to September 1st now.
Whew.
Is it September 1st that's going to be the day?
SB5. So hopefully after September 1st we see even more breweries, hopefully especially in South Georgia.
I'm going to take a lot less tours in my life. Have a lot less pint glasses.
And I'm staying there. Shouts
Cheers
out
to that.
The Georgia Craft Brewers Guild doing awesome work out there.
Scofflaw was advertising. I sent a picture of this to Ryan. Scofflaw was advertising their first anniversary, which is after September 1st, and the chalkboard was really funny. It was like, no tours, no glasses, no bullshit, just beer. It's like, finally.
Well, it's funny because I'm going
awesome.
up to Creature Comforts. We're going to stay in Athens and then try to go up and see the eclipse next weekend.
Awesome.
And so, I haven't been to Creature Comforts. And I'm like, come on, Eclipse. You couldn't have been 2 weekends ahead, and I could have, you wouldn't have, even though, whatever. I'll get first Tropicali, it'll be fine. But,
I think they're coming out with Paradiso soon too. That's always a delicious staple.
yeah, so hopefully I'll get some good stuff up
Well, I
there.
don't want to rain on your guys' parade, but I'm pretty sure the other Albany brewery uses locally sourced orange flavoring and yellow 5.
Man, you know, not to, you know, those guys, to give them a little bit of credit, they do a great amount of work for sustainability. When we were looking at ways to incorporate, you know, our farm into the brewing process and how we were going to use our spent grain and all of the trube and everything that's high nitrogen material that comes out of the brewing process. And you know, it wasn't long before I read an article talking about how Miller recycles all of the flocked out yeast, all of their dry, I mean, I guess they use extract, so there's not too much dry hop material coming out, but the idea being that it's high nitrogen material, you can put it on your farm, use it as fertilizer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they do a good job at that.
Do any of your farms have livestock?
Unfortunately not. They used to, the farms that his family have held for a while had pigs and cows and everything.
Because you know, a lot of people give the spent grains to some livestock.
My grandma lives about 30 minutes east of the brewery in a small town called Tata, Georgia. So, trying to do a little bit of arm
it's like the
twisting.
Mayhaw capital, right?
They got a little plant nursery over there. But hopefully, gonna do some arm twisting and hopefully give her some of the spent grains eventually.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Keep it all in a sustainable circle.
So you talked about grains, and I saw in a picture that you are growing hops.
Yep.
There was
And
a cleverly titled article in like the Albany Herald of like
Hops
brewery
forward.
is hopping forward towards anything.
All the puns.
Come on
man.
now. I
All
mean,
the
they're not beer
puns.
people. But that's kind of nuts.
Yeah. Everybody.
I mean, it's great.
when
I
you
mean,
tell-
I've tried to grow some hops in my yard to varying success, but like they look healthy.
Everybody we talk to when you say, "Oh, we're going to grow hops," they're like, "Yeah, good luck with that." Especially, so I worked briefly at Wild Heaven, and Eric up there, he's a botanist. I don't know exactly how to describe him. I don't want to undersell him. I think he, created some varietal of tree. But when I told him we were growing hops, he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out for you." But he did give us a good piece of advice in that Neo Mexicanus is a varietal that's fairly new to the scene, and we're fighting really two things when it comes to growing hops. It's not only the heat, but also the hours of daylight. So the good thing about Neo Mexicanus is they're used to growing in this many hours of daylight because they're similar to our, latitudinal height on the globe. So that's something that gives us a little bit of a promise. And then, we just harvested about, 3 weeks ago we did our first harvest and have some wet hop beers fermenting right now. And the lupulin production is good. The smell, just doing sensory eval on the hops themselves, they smell wonderful. I was actually lucky enough to go to a Southeastern Hop Growers Conference in Asheville and found out that the hops down here actually have good oil production and good alpha acid production. They just taste slightly different than the ones you would get in the Pacific Northwest.
Gotcha.
You chalk that up to terroir, everything else.
Yeah,
I mean, it comes with everything we're growing. But yeah, we were trying to grow every input for the beers. So
Nice.
we've test plotted with some 6-row barley. We started out with thoroughbred. We've looked at a couple different varietals like Secretariat that we're kind of going to transfer to. And then also we grew Renza Buzzy Rye. And we tried this grain called True to Kaylee, but it didn't yield as well. We don't know exactly what the future of that is.
What about yeast? Are you going to try to get some local
So
yeasts in like the Jester King kind of?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned Jester King. Another great podcast I listen to is the Sour Hour, and they had Avery on not too long ago. I think it was around San Francisco Beer Week. I was lucky enough to be out there during that, but when they were recording, they were asking Avery, how did they start their mixed culture? And she mentioned that they were just doing home brewing techniques. So taking wort, when I'm running off a wort, I just run off a little bit extra into a beaker or a mason jar. And I've just been doing a lot of captures from flowers. So I just take flower petals and put them in there and don't stir plate it. Just let it sit and see what it does. And after a few weeks, do sensory eval and see what it's progressed to. And
Heck yeah.
It's really cool.
Dumped a lot of those cultures. There's very few that have actually worked out. In fact, the best use of microflora we've had is taking fresh fruit from the farm and just re-fermenting the beer on it. So we had we just went through a blackberry harvest, a blueberry harvest, and a strawberry harvest. So
Jester King does a lot of that too.
yeah, oh yeah. That was we're working with a gentleman who used to work at Russian River, and he's been helping us with a lot of our recipe development and everything because he's got 10 years of experience working under Vinny out there. Is kind of somebody I look up to. But he was the first person to say, that's some of the best beer we've made is just taking fresh fruit directly from the farm and allowing it to the natural microflora to re-ferment the beer.
Well, quick sponsor plug. They just posted online. 5 Points has the Avery Ginger Sour in stock right now.
My wife was wanting me to go pick up a bottle of that.
And speaking of Jester King, I have a friend that's lives in Jacksonville, another professional musician that's moving to Tennessee, and I helped him by coincidence in a trade I did. Him and I together collected every single bottle that was out at the time of Jester King Dichotomous, their season.
Oh
beer.
yeah.
And they're all fermented with whatever locally grown fruit
That
and
was
herbs
available.
and
Yeah.
are in season at that time.
Yeah.
And we had all of them in a row and got to try all the different seasons that are all fermented with all these different local fruits. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
They
Yeah.
were so good.
Yeah.
It was
Everything.
a good night.
Everything
I think
they do is
using
phenomenal.
what you have and the local stuff. I know with homebrewing, my wife, she would homebrew with me, and she'd go out to the garden and pick stuff I had no clue was, like little watermelon, cucumber.
Yeah, hybrid.
Yeah, and
My
different
friends were
stuff.
when my friends visited your house that one time, they loved those little.
They're little
Your wife made little pickles of those things.
They're like they
were
a
just
pickle, but
pounding
it looks like a
those.
little watermelon.
That's
and so
awesome.
she threw some stuff in, and it's a beer that could never replicate, but. It just tasted so fresh and was great.
It's funny.
And so
you
I think
mention
it's
that,
like
yeah.
now, but with technology and stuff like that, and you can create that taste that is Pretoria Fields taste.
Oh, you're
and
exactly
expand
right.
from
And
it.
you talk about how things change and how it evolved. We have the downtown brewery, and obviously we're going to get open. You got to crawl before you can walk before you can run. But our goal to take the farm where the original idea and really make that into a sour facility and really make some very huge offerings,
whole
Oh,
but
shebang.
really unique offerings. So you'll probably have to come there to get the
All right, if you
to
all start a
really
barrel club, you got probably 2 members. Right?
There's definitely plans for that. We've looked at a couple of different options on copper cool ships, and we're just looking at sizing and what kind of system do we want to brew into the barrels. And there's actually a company that makes footers in Alabama, and they typically do it for whiskey and open fermenting. So we're going to kind of try to talk to those guys about
I'm there at least once a month for orchestra, so
I'll send my money with
any excuse to go more often.
It's
And
funny.
we're gonna have some growlers.
Yeah, it's
We-
funny
we
you
have
mentioned
been.
these odd ingredients. We've been we actually planted a bunch of mayhaws in hopes to make a mayhaw beer. Of course, I'm sure somebody's done it before. But
We have.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure. So, it's so common down here in the South that how job processing them was that a pain and
Yeah,
I did that part. You did the brewing.
No, you gave me a bag of mayhaws.
I thought
And
I used them.
Said good
no,
luck.
No, you're thinking of the prickly pears.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But incidentally, they were
Good
both-
luck with the Mayhaws.
Both of those got
See,
put
you
You know, I
into
made a
Berliner
mead with
Weisses.
Mayhaws, so I did
that's
process
awesome.
some, but
No, for the ones you gave me a
pretty small,
big
yeah.
gallon sack, and I took all the stems out, and then I think just put them in the blender, and then dumped that into a Berliner Weiss.
Oh,
just got
Oh,
the
nice.
seeds. Yeah, that sounds about
My wife
what
made
I
a
did.
kick-ass label, like she always does.
Yeah, I did like a South Georgia mead, which was local honey,
awesome.
Mayhaws,
Tea,
Lipton tea, and cane syrup.
Oh, that's
To
awesome.
supplement
local
it.
cane syrup.
Yeah.
Local cane syrup. So,
That was very South
so
Georgia.
Yeah,
that's about. But I mean,
How'd
I
it
think
turn out?
the
Pretty good?
concept is like, especially like beer geeks like Dan and me. That's what we want. I mean, you know, we want with that sort of stuff. But let's talk about like let's talk about your beers. Like, what's your flagships? I know.
I want to
venture
ask
sours,
one question before that.
Oh, go ahead.
We're the kings of getting off topic.
Yeah, I digress
Which is
all the
great.
time. Yeah.
But we were talking about, tell us about the brewery. I want to know more about what is the concept for the brick and mortar place that people can go visit.
Okay.
So is it going to be a tap room? Is there going to be food? Blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Pretty much just a tap room. Pretty much gonna, we'll have outside vendors that, of course, bring in small plates and food, stuff like that. But we will not be supplying it just because of the laws in Georgia.
That's fine. I was just curious.
Yeah. So it'll be pretty much, we'll be a production brewery. We'll probably just brew clean beers to begin with there. We won't play around too much. Of course, we'll start some of our barrel cellar out there, but we'll try to keep it pretty much year-round production beers and clean beers, and just a tasting room where you can come in, and we'll have live music occasionally.
And you plan to open after September 1st, which means it'll be just more like a normal brewery or bar.
Yeah,
You just
typical
go
brewery.
drink,
Right, like you go in,
go
you
to
can
the
buy
river
flights.
aquarium or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Not whatever. It's a river aquarium.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. No
Do
worries.
they allow beer there?
We're pushing for that. We're pushing for it. Good
Plastic cups.
They only have 2
in the
taps.
river
Yeah.
aquarium.
They only have 2 taps.
No, they,
Yeah. And our goal is, when we do have
Do they
a
have tap?
no,
Bring the kids to the river aquarium and something for dad.
I'm sure.
That would have helped.
I forget the.
I promise they would
name,
increase the amount of people that go
Oh,
there.
totally.
Oh yeah, they would increase the amount of people.
I think they do something like that at the Atlanta Aquarium, where they have you can walk around drinking beer and look at all the things. Yeah, like the pints in the zoo. I know they did. Something in the zoo too. Yeah.
Maybe in the future you can start that.
We're pushing on them
We're
pretty
pushing
hard.
on them. Yeah.
That may-
Anything that
Open containers everywhere in
Yeah.
downtown
Yes,
Albany is what we really
they
want.
do
but-
it in Valdosta for First Friday.
Yep, Macon's the
You can
same
have
way.
open containers, but it hasn't really caught on because there's not really at the
It
moment.
dies in the summer. when
Maybe
the
once the
kids-
brewery
the
opens.
students go home.
Yeah.
But
that's-
in the moment in Valdosta, I think in the downtown area, I mean, they're trying to make it more popular. But one of the problems is there's still a law that you can't sell alcohol unless you have food. So there's no bars,
you gotta sell a certain
and
percentage.
so you're not really gonna get a beer and then walk down the block to the other restaurant.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make much more. It makes a lot more sense than somewhere like Macon.
Yeah.
But so we know how the brewery's going to be, which transitions into
Yeah.
your
What
question.
are we going to look at as far as beers? Well, first of all, when are y'all hoping to be open? I heard the date, but go ahead and say it for everybody.
Yeah, so we had talked about September, but we're pushing for the 1st of October.
Okay.
The first weekend of October, we're looking to be open. We've had some, of course, with every brewery, they say you should, go ahead and anticipate spending twice as much money and it taking twice as much time. So it hasn't doubled our time frame, but it's pushed us back a little bit.
If
with
you're doing
the
it right,
weather.
it'll be worth it.
I feel like Sam Callion put that in a book.
Yeah, I think that's
It's going to be
that.
twice as long, twice as
Yeah, I think you might be reading that Brewing Your Own Business book right now.
yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so
It's a good book actually. Yeah. A little plug.
the
Yeah.
good book.
Yeah. But yeah, so to answer your question,
One of the good books.
Oh, right. We're in South Georgia.
In South
yeah,
Georgia.
be
Need to
careful.
offend
Yeah, be
anyone.
careful.
So what are we drinking when we come in the first day?
So yeah, and I apologize again about not having any beer ready right now. Things have been absolutely
Podcast is over.
crazy.
Get out.
But so we're going to start out with Core 4 beers. I hear a lot of people saying Core 4, but it just seems the best way
I
to
feel like
kind
they
of
said the same thing last episode.
yeah with the
I think they use the
armadillo.
same-
It's hard for us. Like you didn't know if you were a listener because we released the armadillo episode. I marked it as,
You released it in July, but it was.
but I marked it as June.
early
But we haven't
July.
done it. We haven't done a podcast since June 4th,
Yeah.
which was my birthday, incidentally. But
Happy birthday.
We did that
happy
podcast and then
2
I
months
left
ago.
for a month and a half.
In internet time.
We haven't podcasted in a long time. Anyway, I think they also said Core 4, but go on.
Yeah, I heard them say that. I know Creature Comforts did a Core 4, and I think it's just a good way to encapsulate. You try to get all the corners of the market.
Are you going to be the brewer? Are you guys hiring someone, or how's that work?
We are going to hire a brewmaster. We have a good friend of ours, Eric Kirchner, who lives in Santa Rosa, California right now. He's going to kind of help us in the transition period of hiring a brewmaster and everything. And then I have some commercial brewing experience and been home brewing since 2008. But yeah, we've been kind of just in charge of recipe development and everything. And so to answer your question, our Core 4, we're going to start out with a lower ABV stout, probably around, we've been messing around between 5.5 and 6%.
Okay.
Something you can kind of drink, fairly roasty. A little bit of complexity. We do some interesting things on the mashing side that kind of create some complexity.
It's really drinkable.
Finished
I
beer.
really like our stout. It's drinkable. So.
Yeah. It's not something that you're like, I only want to drink one of those in the
Yeah.
winter months when when I've
it's,
had a long
when
day.
it's 4 degrees
What
outside.
I always say, this topic comes up every other episode. I'm not a seasonal drinker.
I'll drink 1050 on the beach.
I'll drink 1050 on the beach. I don't care.
Oh, dude, that'll hurt.
That's true. You do say that a lot. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get way off topic again. We were talking about beer clubs.
Sure.
So we have a membership in a beer club.
You never let the guest say their 4 beers.
Oh, it's
like
We always bring it up. This is like the Armadillo episode when I listened back was hysterical. It took us 45 minutes to get to their 4 beers.
That's right.
Because I was going to say this earlier.
down.
Because you always ask the next question before I'm done.
This is true. Go. We're following.
Next month, Antebrewum with Danny only. So Ryan and I are Catador members, but obviously, which is Cigar City's private club. And it's funny because obviously we don't live in Tampa, so I have a trustee, but we never get to Tampa, and they've been plowing through their clubs so fast. And the guy texted me the other day, and he's like, "Danny, I have 19 beers for you in
My closet's getting full.
Can you please come get these?" And I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
That's really far away. But
Yeah.
we're going to meet up in Tallahassee. And then we're debating we're going to have an epic party where we try all of them or have several small
I think
parties.
we would literally die.
Because that's
20 barrel-aged Cigar City 12
because the club
13%
is
beers.
you get 5 barrel-aged 750s. And they're all double barrel Hunaku, double barrel Zukov. Yeah, that's going to be a rough party. Because we're 4.5 clubs behind at this point.
And we only have 2 friends.
Carl and Logan.
You can invite us. We'll come.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got
Wait,
some, I got some
remember when I had
cycle
that-
stuff.
We could invite some of the breweries.
We should
that
have
had. That was
past
kinda fun.
guests,
Yeah.
yes, for a big Catador
That's not a bad idea.
Bottle
extravaganza.
Share. Sounds like a bottle
Yeah.
share.
You remember when we did the tasting at my house with all the Hill Farmstead and New Glarus?
I remember the beginning of it.
We gotta do that again. Anyway, Core 4.
Yeah, so
we got a stout.
Stout. We have an old world style goza, getting away from kind of the briny gozas you're used to day in and day out, where it's overly sour and overly salted. We're kind of stepping back away
Sour
from
ones,
that.
but I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, I love really sour beer too, and we'll get to that. We kind of talked about our fruited beers and Berliners, and I've been giving these guys a lot of really sour beer. Them being like, well, our goza for our year-round production, we might should ease people's toes in the water instead of punching them right in the face.
Yeah.
Kind of. And we toast the coriander, so you get some really interesting floral notes and stuff like that. Then of course IPA, King IPA. Gonna make a Southern style IPA. Has a little bit of unmalted wheat. We've been playing around with the hazy idea.
What makes it Southern style?
Yeah.
It's from the South.
It's kind of this
I mean, never mind. I didn't ask
East
that.
Coast.
We'll let that out.
Well, it's interesting you say that. There's this East Coast meets West Coast thing. I heard the guys from Scofflaw do an interview about it, and it's interesting because we're not brewing these old 90s style East Coast IPAs where it's like, oh, we'll just
Thank
put
God.
a shit ton of crystal malt in there and balance out the bitter and balance out the incredible bitterness that we're going to throw in there also, where we do a lot of late hop editions, pretty much just Whirlpool editions. We'll do a 15-minute edition and a Whirlpool edition.
Speaking our language.
Yeah, and then Munich, mostly color from the Munich. We don't use a lot of crystal malts. In fact, in the most recent iterations, we haven't used any crystal malts. And then, of course, we always try to use grains from the farm, so we'll use some unmalted wheat for a little bit of body. I traditionally like my beers to finish out really dry. It helps you in packaging and everything, but also that adds a little bit of mouthfeel if you threw it on.
I figure tropical IPAs
Yes.
are kind of from Florida and Georgia. There's not the hazy, juicy type, and not the real East Coast. You know what I'm talking about? Like the grapefruit and the mango forward.
Yeah, like,
I
for me, not as being
kind of. I wouldn't say Georgia, but Florida. Well,
it's not as
southern style.
It's not as technical,
Hawaii,
but
tropical,
those with the
Yeah.
with a lot of really good nose off of it. The
Right.
citrusy, it really hits you out of the can.
Yeah.
We had a lot.
And then,
we played around a lot with like hop oil and hop distillate, just a bunch of different. There's a lot of people like the northeastern style IPAs. Oh, we use hop extract to bitter with, and we of course like that just for an efficiency standpoint. But we've been playing a lot of different things as far as like the double dry hopping. Like I've heard three different. I've researched this a lot, and I keep getting different answers. And I don't think anybody can really give you a cut and dry answer. But about this biotransformation or something that happens with sugars that are actually available in the hops, but dry hopping at high krausen. When it's at the peak of fermentation, we'll actually put a little bit of haze in the beer. So our finished product, we're not going to filter to begin with. We're not going to centrifuge to begin with. So it will probably have a little bit of haziness in there. But we are planning on using Cali ale yeast, so it won't be from this London ale or any kind of Canadian ale yeast to leave around. It'll be a different type of haziness with the unmalted wheat leaves haze, and then the
Related question. Do you intend at any point then to package and distribute?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Right away?
100%.
Sweet.
We'll be draft only to begin with. We're pushing for cans just as fast as possible. We just want to make sure the quality of our product is where we want it to be, because cans tend to travel a little more, and then you get some interesting things that happen if you get any kind of yeast in your packaging, and that was kind of the idea behind standing.
And I
away from
know,
those
like,
northeast
when a new
styles.
brewery comes to town, like the first beer or two I have by them, I don't want to say it like totally makes my mind or breaks my mind, but like if I have an amazing first beer, like Scofflaw is a good example. Like the first IPA I had, I'm like, who are these guys? And since then,
Although famously now they're having issues with quality control, especially in packaging.
Yep.
They rushed to can everything, and now it's
yeah,
hit or
which
miss.
goes back to what you are getting it right before you should. But I think, like, I guess the whole point is you don't want to put out an inferior product, and there are breweries who have improved vastly since I first had them, but I'm still reluctant to buy their stuff because it was so bad.
We won't
Right.
we won't name any names or regions, but we've had some South Georgia beer in cans.
You just named a region.
That's
South Georgia, man. There's only
our podcast covers everything.
Yes, I know what you're saying. No, I know exactly.
Brunswick,
But
I mean, we've had some that was so bad, like we've literally brought their cans to Homebrew Club and being like, so you need to learn
Tell
about
me
all
what went wrong.
flavors. Have this.
I actually use them to butter my popcorn.
That's hilarious. That's too funny.
I had this one
Diacetyl
pale
is,
ale. It was like a famous story. My wife, though, we've been together for a long time, and so she's gotten into beer because she is married to me. And I cracked. It was a beer I hadn't had. I cracked the can open, and it was a pale ale, and I handed it to her in the can. Before she poured it out, she smelled it, and she goes, I'm not drinking this.
It's horrible.
And just handed it back to me. I'm like, oh, that's not a good sign.
Man, that's the biggest problem I think we face in craft beer in Georgia, is that quality is sometimes pushed to the back because of profits, or somebody's really wanting to push this beer out and they're not
Don't
concerned
rush
about
to
days.
package and distribute.
Well, in fairness, like, you had to package and distribute to make money because you aren't going to make money at your brewery.
Right.
And so, like, you have breweries that open and don't have the quality control and don't have it yet.
Yep.
That they could maybe adjust, but they push it out and they get distributors to push it out. And so I think it's smart to take your time, get it right in the brewery. And in fair, I mean, I think the other thing is, like, you all have been brewing for a long time. You clearly know beer. You know great breweries that are, so you know what good beer tastes like. True. And I think that's the first step. You got to taste a lot of beer.
How many times have we talked about this?
Drink a lot of bad beer.
At least off the air, Ryan and I have talked so much about breweries that open and home brewers that think they're brewing really awesome beer because they just haven't
Tasted
tried
beer.
enough beer.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is very shady, but it's like, okay, everyone at your friend's wedding said it was the best brown ale they ever had.
Yeah, so automatically.
But go try some stuff from real breweries. I
a
humbly say, I've dumped batches before, believe me.
Yeah, spotted cow. Yeah, that
All
was
right, so do we hit all four?
No, we only got 3.
Session stout.
I got you, Lego.
We got one
I
more.
call it
I was
session
just gonna
stout.
say,
I
we got
thought
You
that-
call
I-
it session style.
in my head, it came out as like I can session that stout. And then Goza, and
just
then
not my
IPA,
favorite.
Southern style IPA,
And then it's a cream ale is what style it's brewed in.
Mm-hmm.
We probably aren't going to call it a cream ale because that's not necessarily the most.
One of our sponsored beers is a cream ale.
Yeah, and it's easy drinking. We both like drinking the style. You know, it's something that you can put a good bit of hop character into, and it's still easy drinking. We see this as a perfect transitional beer for people who drink American light lagers.
Gotta have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Gotta have it.
South Georgia.
Yeah.
Jinx,
Yeah.
you owe me a Southern style IPA.
It is. Every brewer we've interviewed says the same thing, and we always say the same thing.
Yeah.
I tagged you.
Gotta have
I tagged you in my check-in yesterday because by 100% coincidence, my wife and I went to the pool yesterday, and then my co-host walks out with his children, and we're like, "Hey!" And we were at the pool. He left, but my wife and I were at the pool for like 3 hours yesterday, and I came back and I took a shower, and the first thing I did was crack one of these cream ales. And I think I was like, I'm just gonna take a sip, and then half the can was gone. It was hot. I was sun toasted, and just down the hatch.
Gotta have it.
It was perfect.
Is there an
crack
Al-
that Bon Chien?
Yeah, man. Feel free.
Sweet. What's the Albany beer scene like, or is there one?
Oh man, it's painful. You know, not trying to hurt. You know,
We understand.
I'm way off mic. Doug Stanhope, we've got any. I can talk some about this.
Yeah.
I intentionally asked them so you'd be away. Go ahead.
it's pretty painful. You know, the biggest thing is, you know, I'm surprised how much IPAs these certain stores sell, and it's just, you know, a month old. The biggest thing is not getting fresh products. You know, some of the beers you get are fresh are not exactly the highest quality of beer, so you can get a fresh hoppy beer, but it probably isn't one you want to drink more than one of.
I think we'll change everybody's perception of what it ought to taste like. And that's one of the things that we've talked about from the beginning is really be an educational source for all of South Georgia about what it ought to be.
Right.
And we want, and you know, one of the things I've taught is we want people to think about this like everybody thinks about wine. You know, especially wine nerds.
Yeah.
You know, we want them to be beer. We want to have everybody to be as excited and to think about it. No, not everybody will, but at least we want to educate them to a certain extent that, you know, there's a lot that goes into this. You know, they shouldn't all be, you know, watered down. I mean, it, you know,
yeah.
beer can be different and be good.
And we definitely have plans for an educational program for all the
Yeah.
local outlets and everything. We think a huge part is not only trying to sell them our craft beer, but educating them about craft beer. So not only we can get beers that we like to drink, but also teach them what it means to, you know, not serve beer in a frozen mug or,
Right.
you know, just everything few and far between
But you
that.
got to kind of create the culture. I think
Right.
Yeah,
down here,
no
I mean,
doubt.
that's part of what this whole podcast is about, is create. There may only be 200 people who listen to it, but there are 200 people who love craft beer.
And diehards.
Yeah.
Probably.
You know, and so I think that's a huge thing, especially down here where there's, and it's in a good way. There's not a lot of competition. I mean, you guys are going to be it, and I think, but I know you're approaching making the best beer, no matter what there was competition or not. But
Sure.
And that's the biggest thing. We think of the
So is the
quality.
short answer, like, there's really not much of a craft beer scene in Albany?
It's few and far between. The people you find that know about craft beer will love craft beer and will talk your ear off, but the people who don't are kind of like, oh
What
yeah,
what
you mean
what
an
like
IPA?
what venues do you guys like? Like, is there a certain bar, or store, or anything that you
yeah,
regularly hit
you know,
up?
there's
I'll try to
several
give you 3 of each so we don't get in any trouble.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
they still have those laws or not, but
all
we're
three of
not
them are going to be
selling
selling
beer.
Pretoria Fields here very
Yeah,
soon.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. But yeah, you know, like the warehouse carries a lot of brands. They carry a lot of craft beer that they usually do good about keeping them in stock.
Any Valdostans that listen? Valdostan?
Is it
Any Valdostans that listen?
Kin Liquor Store?
There's a warehouse here.
Same.
It's the same. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. And then there's actually like a little coffee shop that randomly they had some Orpheus beers on early on.
Oh, I've been there.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that, like Rapturous, I think it's called Elements Coffee. They do a good job. And then the Harvest Moon, those guys, you know.
Harvest Moon. That's
Heard of
what-
that place? Yeah.
When
Billy.
I was telling them off air, I play in an orchestra in Albany, and they put us in the Mary Acres,
Oh yeah, those
which is
same
right by
guys.
Warehouse and Harvest Moon.
Yep.
It's really close, and so I go to those places all the time.
They the Harvest Moon guys, they own the Mary Acres as well.
Yeah, yeah, I
And a
know,
couple
yeah.
others, so they kind of keep craft
And
beer
then
stocked.
I
in most of
actually
their
went to
establishments.
Elements
The catch as
for
well.
to get coffee, And then I was like, whoa, they have all this beer. I need to come back when it's not like 10 a.m. on
And then
a
it's
Sunday.
I was like, it's at 7 a.m. you start drinking beer.
And Lighthouse Liquors is also a good
Lighthouse
one.
Liquors,
And Austin's has 2 restaurants, Austin's and Newman's.
Oh, I wonder if there's is that the same guy that owns Omaha?
No, it's different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Not the steak place that's here, Austin's.
No, he's a barbecue
have eaten
joint
there.
and a barbecue
Shout out to
place,
those guys.
and then he has a little more upscale Newman's. So,
Nice.
but they have quite a few taps also. And
Yeah,
try to rotate some craft beers.
incidentally, maybe part because of the Harvest Moon people, the little hotel bar at Mary Acres, it's not like mind blowing, but they always have craft beer.
Yeah, they got
which is
420.
nice.
Yeah, they got 420
There's
on
been
draft.
orchestra concerts where like we sell them out of the craft beer. It's like the whole orchestra staying there, and after the concert we all hang out, especially if there's a guest artist.
Oh yeah.
We all hang out at the little Mary Acres bar. And at one point I remember walking up late and being like, I'll take a Sweetwater IPA. And she's like, oh honey, we're out of all the craft beer. I'm like, really? She's like, you guys drank it all. Y'all drank it all. Oh, okay.
They had some empty
trying to
bottles
stack
where they
them
could
up.
pour some Bud Light in for you. Know?
At this point, it's not gonna matter. You just
Dry hot Bud Light.
yeah. We'll try to stock them up more soon.
So,
That makes, we always talk about this. I mean, of course, now every time I visit town, I'll be going to the brewery. But additionally, what's crazy and exciting for me is because I go to Albany a lot, is like when we go to Harvest Moon or when I go with my colleagues out to eat or something, that I can get a local beer on tap. We go to Mellow Mushroom and I can drink Pretoria Fields there.
yeah, I'm hoping you all start sending cakes down here real quick.
Yeah, our initial.
Oh yeah, are you going to
distribution-
distro out of town?
Yeah, our initial distribution plan is to cover South Georgia. We're going to take care of South Georgia. We're going to try to stay as local as we can, as long as we can. If South Georgia drinks more beer, we'll only sell beer to South Georgia.
If your distro needs recommendations on venues, hit us up.
But I mean,
The best places.
I live a little north of here, and I don't think Albany's maybe more than an hour and a half or an hour.
Right at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Depending on which route you take, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's real, like, even for like a date night, my wife and I would drive somewhere to know, have a few different places and options. So
We talk about
exciting.
Sweetgrass Dairy in Thomasville.
Yeah.
We'll come down here occasionally.
Oh,
We're down in
yeah.
Thomasville.
We did an episode with Big Oak, the guys that are going to open in Thomasville, and talked about the Thomasville beer scene. That was our first Antebrewum trip, right?
On the road.
Us and the wives visited Thomasville and investigated all the beer spots.
Jeremy's a great guy, and he's a huge craft
he's
beer fan.
awesome.
I think Sweetgrass is distributed by Savannah Distributing in Georgia, so they'll like trade him Creature Comforts beers, and he'll get him some cheese. And I think they just did a cheese washed in Gate City Porter, if I'm not
Nice.
mistaken. But yeah, we were talking to him a long time ago, and I dropped the ball. I need to reach back out to him, but he gave us some bacterial cultures, some dry bacterial cultures early on. It ended up being Lactobacillus brevis, I believe. But I kettle soured a couple beers with it,
Nice.
with his actual cheese bacterial cultures. So.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that would be a fun. That'd be a fun beer.
Yeah, for a while we were playing around with our lactose strains, kind of seeing, I thought like, oh, if we get this unique lactose strain, it's going to change the way our beer tastes entirely. And you can get some slight variations in notes, but really all you're producing is lactic acid, and it's really like all lemonade-y kind of.
I've actually used Lactobacillus brevis before.
Yeah.
But
we use a blend.
you get like local. It gets super meta. You probably tried. I'm from Illinois, but I grew up right on the Iowa border.
Okay.
And right across the river, there are a lot of breweries, and there's a distillery. And it got so meta. You probably tried the whiskey I had. My father-in-law gave me for my birthday. So this local distillery made a whiskey using a local brewery's brown ale recipe. And so they took the brown ale recipe, fermented it, distilled it, made whiskey, aged it for a few years, and then when they bottled it and took it out of the barrels, the brewery then aged that brown ale in the brown ale recipe whiskey barrels.
Super meta, bro. Yeah.
So you could get the brown ale plain and the whiskey made from the brown ale, and then also the brown ale aged in the whiskey barrels made with the brown ale recipe.
That's pretty awesome.
That's local AF.
Yeah,
as the kids say.
I know, I think independent distilling in Atlanta. I think 3 Taverns distilled Feast Noel or one of their big malt forward beers. I don't know if it was the Open, the Recluse, but one of those beers they distilled into a spirit too. So I'm interested to see if they're gonna do the.
There was one. I went to a reindeer winter gathering in Austin Austin and San Antonio, and I'm blanking on the brewery name. It's when I went to Jester King, but there's a brewery there called Ranger Creek or something Ranger, I swear. Anyway, like half of it's a brewery and half of it's a distillery, and they do stuff with themselves or together all the time.
For a while there, I was into making mustard, and so I had a Polish mustard beer that I used to make a mustard, and then I used some of that mustard to make a beer.
Whoa!
And it was gross.
Super spicy.
But then I used some of that beer to make some more mustard, and that was...
The mustard turned out okay.
Yeah.
I like the non-committal.
It's like using mustard beer to make mustard beer to make mustard.
What were we talking about?
I don't
We're way
know.
off topic.
All right, but we got a few more segments because tell us. So give us your final pitch. When we can see you. What do you want people to know? What do you want South Georgia beer drinkers to know?
Yeah, so we'll be opening around the 1st of October. You can look to see us and through Distro right around that same exact time. We'd love for you to come see us. We're not far off 75. We're probably 30 minutes off of 75. And if you're heading down to Panama City, we're not far off your journey at all. So stop by and see us, whether you're in South Georgia or not.
Are you guys going to fill growlers up?
We will do crowlers to begin with.
Okay, cool.
And
I can send some money with Danny to get some growlers some back.
Right.
To start with.
Until we can. And we talked about possibly selling souvenir growlers. We just don't want to have to clean growlers all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we worry about the quality, how that affects quality, filling other people's growlers that they made vinegar in or whatever else.
Is there anything Antebrewum listeners can do right now to support Pretoria Fields?
Follow us on Instagram or Facebook, Twitter. We try to be pretty active on these social media sites as much as we can. There's a lot of spread pretty thin trying to get this brewery started up.
Yeah,
Everybody that's watching, they have some pretty sick swag.
Yeah, that shirt's cool. I'm excited about mine.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll start seeing more of our branding come out as we get closer to releasing our brands. But yeah, if you want to stop by and see us, we're not too hard to find either.
Very good.
One question we always ask people: do you remember or have a particular beer or craft beer that got you into craft beer or brewing?
Oh man,
some fond memory of
like your first craft beer,
like something that
something that
like
really got you into
give your
beer.
example. Colorado Man.
My beer was Fat Tire.
Yeah.
Which is like now is like the most like vanilla-y
I
craft
think they
beer.
rebranded it. Yeah,
They have. In fact, they're making. Danny sent me a new. They're making like a white Fat Tire.
Yeah, wheat.
Which is
Just Fat Tire wheat beer.
Which is.
Yeah.
I mean, they have so many different wheat beers. They could just make
Go
it
after
different.
it.
I whatever. I'm not
I have-
speak bad of it. But the fact is, like, all of a sudden, at the very age I turned, where I was interested in drinking, this beer started popping up, and you taste it, and it's very different from what you think beer or what your dad drank. At least what my dad drank. So,
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was I actually was lucky enough to go to Asheville, North Carolina for college, and that's kind of where I fell in love with home brewing and
be
craft
worse.
beer.
they have some beer there.
Yeah. Well, this was it was right before the big explosion of Wicked Weed coming to town, and I think Pisca was like the new kid on the scene, and everybody was excited to drive 40 minutes down there to drink some of their beers, but. I have to say, like Shiva IPA from Asheville Brewing and Pizza, we would just go and pound that beer all the time, back in the day, and watch movies and eat a couple good pizzas. And then the Wedge Brewing Company in Asheville, many a beer. There's no one that sticks out to me in particular, but just drinking many a beer there and thinking, oh man, this is wonderful. I find myself wanting to do this in my free time. Why can't I make a job out of this?
We went skiing when I was in college and out in Colorado, and it was. And I don't even remember the beer that it was. I just remember they had beer. The only thing that I'd ever drank up to that point was Miller Lite. I mean, we grew up here. Miller Lite did the Nat Days Festival down in Camilla. Every little town has its own little festival, and that was our sponsor. So pretty much everybody in town, if they drank it all, was committed to that beer. And then of course took that to college with me. But going out there, I mean, there was multiple different things, and some of them were good, some of them was like, wow, what is that? So that sort of piqued my interest. And then getting into home brewing probably was how I got more into beer after that. So yeah.
Good. Very good.
Mine's very weird. I have an older brother that's really into beer. And I remember trying a macro lager and being like, I don't like this. I don't understand how you're so into beer. And he's like, you just haven't tried the right beer. And so I started trying some like transitional beers, like, oh, I'll try a wheat beer, try this raspberry wheat. And I was like, these are okay. But then I had, ended up being very, very bold beers. I had a Dogfish Head 90 Minute and a Goose Island Bourbon County Stout. And I remember being in college and my friends being like, you are a weirdo. Bud Light is fine. Why are you drinking this gross
so much
black
money.
bourbon beer? Like, I remember like, in college, like one friend would run to the liquor store and be like, hey, what do you need me to get? And you'd be like, vodka and Bud Light, Miller Light. And I'd be like, see if there's any new barrel-aged stouts. And he'd be like,
What? That guy. Yeah.
You get Goldschlager.
Fine Jaeger.
Schlitz malt liquor. Yeah.
Shall we? Oh, I'm going to grab a couple more glasses.
Yep.
Wild Irish Rose.
So I remember,
So
I
that's
think the
really
second
good.
time I went, one night I had like a smoked beer from we went to a crazy beer bar, and I'd liked, you call them microbrews back then, but I liked microbrews, but I hadn't really gotten to the. I had a smoked Norwegian beer back to back with like my first like real sour. It was probably like La Folie or something like that. And I'm like, what is going on? Like one tasted like a beautiful cigar, and one was like cherry and vinegar.
Delicious. Slapping your own.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
And then I saw how much they cost. I'm like, whoa, that's an expensive beer.
God, yeah, that's just such a sour staple. That's kind of how I feel about this beer. But La Folie was one of the first sour beers that I really fell in love with, man. Just phenomenal.
It's one you could get, All right, so the next part we are going to do our 5 points, 4 minute, 4-pack beer review. And so, stupidly, we decided we're going to have the internet's fastest beer review. And so we started with that. We started with a 6-pack. We've gone to 4-pack, which is probably better. But basically, we pour them up. You got 1 minute to drink and review it.
Okay.
All right. And so, what do we start? And Danny kind of explains what they are as he's pouring them.
Yep, so this is the 5 points, 4 minute, 4-pack review. And we are
All these are new at 5 points, is that right?
Yes, so the theme this month is all of these are relatively new beers that can be found currently at 5 Points Fine Wine and Spirits.
Right.
Starting with Cedar Creek Lawn Ranger, which is a brewery from 7 Points, Texas. It is a cream ale, and the unique part of it is that it is brewed with a little bit of rye and a little bit of flaked oats.
If you buy a 6-pack, is it a 6-pack of the Lawn Rangers? Somebody out there got that Airheads reference.
Shout out to Michael
Boy, it's
Loeb.
been a long time. It's been a long time.
Really like that movie.
All right, here goes the timer.
All right.
Ready and go. Lawn Ranger. Nice and clear.
Oh.
You guys tell them what a cream ale is? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
Oh, anything essentially containing grits is a nice way to put it.
For our northern viewers, that's cream of wheat.
Yeah, that's it's got a little complexity. I guess I could see from the rye a little bit of extra twang, I'd say, in there from the rye.
Yeah.
A little bit of body left over from.
Well, after that sour, this tastes like water.
Yes.
It is smooth. Yeah.
a little bit of body from the flaked oats, but yeah, you're right. It does go down easy after the sour.
This was perfect after the pool.
Yeah, I
yesterday,
could see how you
like I
could
was
drink,
saying.
get drink a half a beer without thinking about it.
Yeah, delicious.
It's good body.
It's clear.
It's really
it's
good body.
Good, yeah, it's a good beer.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we're not out of time yet. I'm just giving you the next one.
Okay.
We still have a lot.
See
to
what
say.
happens if you figure out you
even
don't need a minute to review a beer.
Yeah.
There it is. All right, shut up.
You got a church key?
Oh,
Right here. I got you, buddy. Don't worry.
I'll say I do want my keys, but the other ones work
Nice
better.
little hop.
That's pretty cool.
This is North Coast Alt Nouveau from Fort Bragg, California. Everyone's gonna ask,
What's an alt beer?
What's an alt beer? It's a double entendre. Alt being Latin for high, meaning the top fermenting yeast, because this is an ale, not a lager, and also German word for old. So it's kind of two things, because it's not a lager, and it's from before Germany was famous for their lagers.
How's your French, Danny? What's nouveau mean?
New.
So, if we're speaking English, what's this beer called?
This is a new old beer.
A new old beer.
I was actually reading on
new,
North
right?
Coast's website. This is like the first seasonal beer they've released in 20 years or something.
Really?
Oh, I forgot to start the timer. Here we go.
All that stuff.
All right.
So they just tend to be kind of like malty.
If it's a pun in another language, does it still count as a pun?
Yeah, malt beer.
I will answer you in
Forward,
Limerick.
definitely. Good and clear. It's got a little hoppy character to it.
Yeah, it's more hops than I thought.
Hoppier than the old German kind of.
That's the new.
That's the new.
Get some like light leathery notes that are kind of nice. A little bit of complexity to it. Of course, you're gonna get your caramel up front.
Mouth feels definitely different than the cream ale.
This would be a good craft beer for somebody who's not
You give them
super
the cream ale,
experienced.
then you give them this.
Yeah,
Yeah, my dad
super
would drink
experienced
this.
craft beer
Exactly.
because it's got a lot of interesting taste going on.
Yeah,
It's like you're trying to bring them forward a little bit. They're
my dad would love this. It's a nice little amber color. Great clarity. It's really lively on
It's
the
kind of like a
carbonation.
baby barley wine.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
that's
way
Very
to put it.
baby. A little
Watered
roastier,
down.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Quest Brewing Company. For anyone that hasn't caught these guys yet, they've just recently hit town. Craft on Draft has had a couple. Anybody watching the video, Potato is back on board here.
Yeah.
And but I think in town they Quest has hit hard the last week or two. They have like a Belgian Pale Ale and an IPA and a porter and a smoked porter and a coffee stout, and there's a whole bunch of stuff hit town. This is Golden Fleece, which is their Belgian Pale Ale.
Were they from Greenville?
They are from Greenville, South
Greenville, I think, is in the
Carolina.
Eclipse Path.
All right, timer starts. Go.
It is catches the northeast corner of Georgia.
Wow, that is a right hand turn from that
Yeah,
last
yeah,
beer.
yeah. It's definitely got a good bit of a bitter backbone to it. A little bit of esters in that Belgian Pale Ale kind of style.
Yeah,
Got a good bit of fruitiness to it.
for sure.
I think Burial made a Belgian Pale Ale a little while ago. Kind of reminds me of.
Ardwolf, one of our
was gonna
favorite
say,
breweries
Ardwolf
in
is- Ardwolf's-
Jacksonville. Their flagship, I would say, their
Yeah.
most popular beer is a Belgian Pale. It's called BPA.
Yeah, that's
It's
bitter.
delicious.
It's interesting how the bitterness plays with that fruity sweetness from the
Yeah.
esters during fermentation. I like it. It's very good. That's the only way. That's my review.
No,
I like it.
I'm laughing at the.
I like it.
Anybody watching on YouTube, this is
good
all.
beer.
This is all being masked by just a close up of Potato's face.
I'm pretty sure I saw my girlfriend check in earlier. She loves cats. She'll get a kick out of it.
Potato, what are you doing?
She's like it. She's enjoying looking at
The
herself.
YouTube is going to be interesting. We're going to have a bunch of like 8-year-old girls being like, "It's another cat video."
Timer's up. It didn't sound for some
Put a
reason.
disclaimer on this
the whole
one.
time.
All right, next we have Mother Earth Buku Vista, California, which
got
is
some
a
water to wash out.
mosaic pale
this is
ale.
Here, you
tastes
got,
like
you got
a-
a separate cup right there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we have extra cups.
Oh, little scofflaw
Coming up in
Gave
the world,
everybody
man.
two.
Yeah.
Danny doesn't usually let me take 2 cups.
Got that cup budget coming in strong.
Yep. The cups are the one thing we're rich in.
Yeah, I've had to clear out my
I went to
closet a
like
couple times.
6 breweries a couple weekends ago on that trip to Macon in Atlanta, and I the only thing I brought home was a 3 Taverns tulip.
Oh man.
Because every other brewery I went to was a pint glass, and I just told my friends, I have so many glasses.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it.
Yeah, you won't see any pint glasses out of this corner over here.
Woot.
We don't like the shaker pints.
Same with Ardwolf; they have no shaker pints at the brewery.
Yeah.
Even their the beers that like could be technically maybe served in a shaker pint are still served
Yeah.
in nonic pints.
I like this beer.
Mother
I do
Earth,
too.
Buku. Well,
Was it-
timer is on.
Oh, is it?
You know, Ryan and I, we both love mosaic.
Yes, I
Man.
love the floral,
tasty.
Yeah.
the notes that you
Golden
get off
is
the
to
nose
me.
even
When's it-
before you
say when
even
it's
drink
brewed?
it.
Okay.
It's sort of-
719.
Sort of your nose just tells you what it's going to taste like.
It's held
Less
up,
than
held
from
up,
California.
Yeah, held up well. I think they're
Canned
all,
719, so we're talking less than a month old from California. That's
they're
pretty-
all
pretty
organic
good.
too, I believe. So shout out to the.
I thought they were
organic
like,
people.
yeah, I thought they were like gluten free or something. Or
Possibly.
maybe they made
No,
a
I
gluten
don't
free
think-
beer.
There's no way this is gluten.
Yeah,
No, not this.
it tastes way too good.
It's kind of. No, we make sorghum beers. We make sorghum beers.
Sorghum
Don't
beers,
say
yeah.
that. But yeah, no, it's not very pale, but golden. I guess they're kind of West Coast style. Yeah, that makes sense. California, but Tastes delicious. Good nose on it.
Yeah, it's not super fruity, but it's got that great
That's a
mosaic.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's almost like that Simcoe kind of like savory.
Use the word
not
delicious.
quite catty, but
Yeah.
getting in that little vein.
Did you say you like it?
Good beer.
That's your review.
Good beer.
Oh, time's up.
A little sweet.
It is a tad sweet, but
Yeah.
that's fine with that.
Yeah.
So all these beers are available at 5 points, fine wine and spirits, and my final judgment is you'd be okay with any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah,
good
they're
If you're a snobby hardcore craft beer nerd,
if
maybe
you're a
you
snobby
want that
hardcore
cream
craft
ale.
beer, go with the alt
Yeah.
Nouveau Alt.
Nouveau.
Actually, to get an alt beer.
Yeah.
Alt Nouveau, or even the Belgian Pale Ale is a little different than something you normally drink.
Super lively.
If you're an IPA guy, get the India Pale Ale for sure.
Yeah, go get the Buku Alt Fresh.
Yep. And if you just want to chug and beer, get the Cedar Creek
If you've been at the
Long
pool,
Rangers.
been
Pick
at
up a
the pool
pack
all
of
day
Long
like us.
Rangers.
A Long Rangers.
Yeah. Those folks making
Long Rangers.
Dankosaurus is a great beer from those guys.
Yeah, we had that recently too.
Yeah,
They-
they're distributed through a very small distributor who they're awesome guys. For the life of me, can't remember the name of it. But,
Of the distributor?
yeah, it's kind of unique. They do Paradox. They do a few other the smaller brands, but they do a really good job selecting. But yeah,
What we got here.
shouts
All
out.
right.
Moving on. It's time
Now, everybody's favorite segment. A text from. No, not that. Okay. This is Cask Me Another.
where we ask smart beer people.
Dumb beer questions. Gosh, it took us
We've
like
got
10
that
months
down.
to get it down, but we got it.
We'll
So
have these recorded eventually. And just
these are there's no wrong answer. Well, we've had a few wrong answers, but generally there's no wrong answers. But you just pop the first thing that pops into your head. All right, and you can both answer, or you can switch off, or you can defer, however you want to work it. All right, first question: best farm animal to put into a beer.
I don't know about best, but the one that's described most often is horse blanket. You can go
Okay.
and check that one off
All
the
right.
list.
Horse blanket.
It's just a flavor descriptor.
Yeah.
That's not an animal.
Yeah,
I was
we
thinking
do.
about-
I was just thinking about
bacon. I was thinking about the only thing that comes to me is bacon.
was gonna say,
Yeah,
yeah, like,
we used to grow pigs down at the farm.
Now the inverse: worst farm animal to put into a beer.
Chickens, they smell like shit.
Chickens. Yeah, that's easy. Chickens.
Yeah, there's
What would Sour Carl?
I
Don't touch the baby chickens.
touch chickens. Okay, here we go.
Donkey.
I'm gonna add one because you mentioned that. But preferred taste sensation: barnyard, farmhouse, hay bale, or horse blanket.
Farmhouse, if that's that's kind of a blanketing term, but I'll take farmhouse on that one.
Okay, farmhouse.
Farmhouse, but hay bale gives me this. Probably from my harvesting peanut hay and that type thing. So it gives me probably a different thought than it would a lot of people. But
Okay,
yeah,
that's a good answer.
yeah.
Memory.
Peanut
Yeah,
hay
there you
is
Yeah,
being
like
out South
Little bit of
Georgia,
graininess.
shooting dove fields in the south. And
Yep.
That eating raw peanuts off the hay.
Brew like a peanut hay pilsner or something.
Oh wow! Yes, and the
Using just
yeah,
the husks.
Using
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
husks.
you know, I don't know. We played around. The people who rented our farm in Camilla or leased it grew peanuts, so we
Yeah.
got out there and ate a bunch.
Yeah, that's
There's plenty of
that's
peanut
peanut
hay to go
area right
around.
down by Camilla.
Yeah, so
That
my-
side. Yep.
Grandma and Grandpa used to grow them.
All right. Best beer to brew from the mildly radioactive Radium Springs water.
Ooh, it's funny you mentioned that.
No idea what that means.
Yeah, so we have the hardest water. Like I think Moultrie. I was talking to our water treatment guy, and he said Moultrie has the hardest water, if not in the nation. You know, it's up there with them.
There's some pretty hard people from Moultrie.
Oh man, yeah. But yeah, we have incredibly hard water, so I would say that northeastern IPA beer style really lends itself to a nice hard water profile.
Okay,
And we
okay.
have like when I boil my beers, like literally you can see a film in the kettle when we get done, just because of I don't know if it's the aquifer we pull from or what it is, but it's so much minerality in our water. It's hard as a rock.
All right.
So IPA is my answer.
All right. Got anything? Radium Springs water?
Yeah.
Is it really made mildly radioactive?
No. I hope
It's just
not.
it's blue. You
Yeah.
never know. I don't know. It's kind of cool, man. That's something that I think really distinguishes us from any other area. Like northern Florida, South Georgia, we have all these natural springs.
It's true.
He was talking about swimming down in them in the heat of summer, and you can see saltwater stripers or all kinds of.
Oh yeah.
Fish
They'll come up.
I think in the river aquarium they've got a sturgeon. I don't know if those are wild here or not, but
Sturgeon? I don't know that. So
yeah, endangered or something. But I swear there's one in the river aquarium. I could be wrong, but I swear.
Probably. I mean,
I know UGA harvests caviar, so I digress.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
digress.
question.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I digress.
You're trapped down a well. What beer do you want to have in the bucket while you're rescued?
You want to take this one first so I can think about it?
Oh, yeah. What beer? Like, they're going to give me a beer first, and then they're going to rescue me in a little bit.
I don't.
I was just wondering. Yeah,
You're already putting more thought into what I went right
but
in.
it's really
While you're trapped down there, they can't figure out how to rescue you.
So they're just
They can
gonna
lower
send
down
a beer.
bucket with
Yeah.
beer in it.
right. I don't know. Recently, up until like a couple of months ago, it was Tropicalia. I would have said, please send me a Tropicalia down.
That would
And,
be all right.
That would have been my go-to.
Would you jump down a well to get a Tropicalia? We got a well up back.
There's one in there, I promise.
But recently, I think it's been a sour, and particularly the strawberry sour that we made off the farm. Like I would ask for that first.
Good, there it is.
Yeah, honestly, I would
We
say
always
that
had- there's
was,
gotta
that was
be-
probably
one answer has to be
and
one
it
of yours.
turned.
A
And
little validation
it's
never hurt
good
anybody.
when you really maybe you're iffy on a whole class, and then it really gets you interested in that class of beer. So I think that's what the strawberry sour did for me. So.
A little validation never hurt
There you go.
anyone.
All right.
I don't want to be that guy, so I'm gonna stay away from my northeastern like heady topper, sip the sunshine, and it's a really hard one. It's a really hard one.
You're a beer guy too, so you don't want to upset your friends.
That's right. Yeah.
So
like, oh, yeah,
that's a hard
this
friend.
dick
Oh,
doesn't
I'm gonna
matter.
I'm gonna make Dick mad if I say that, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna make Danny upset.
Yep.
So, yeah,
I'll
but
say.
put you on the question.
Yeah, RIPA.
Okay,
I'll
good
say
answer.
it. Yeah, I like his.
Every episode,
Every episode.
the guests manage to work in their own beers.
I would hope so.
Yeah. I don't have any.
You don't
faith
want
in
to trap
that.
down a well. You shouldn't be brewing.
That's
Well,
right,
yeah.
that's right. Well,
So-
it's almost it's interesting you say that because I found that after when I used to homebrew, I used to love tasting my beers, and now since trying to do it on a professional scale, I feel like I'm super analytical. It's like drinking my own beer is like work. Like I actually don't enjoy drinking my own beer because I don't see the good parts of it. I only see the bad parts of it.
That's
so,
interesting.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Well, but
Surgeons
that's
are
good. That's
saying
what you. Ideally, that's what you want from a brewer. Somebody's like, "Oh man, this mustard brown I made is the best beer ever."
It's the homebrewer curse we were just talking about.
yeah.
Incidentally, it's the same thing in the classical music world. I mean, you don't fall out of love with it, but you do find yourself realizing I only ever focus on the stuff I'm doing poorly.
Right.
And you got, okay, now I'm doing some stuff good too. I got to enjoy this.
Self-deprecating kind of. Yeah, I feel you.
All right, the last question is actually like 6 questions, so they go quick. This is beer associations.
You pick he'll name like a character or a cartoon character or a famous person, and you pick like a beer, a brewer, a brewery,
Beer
a
style.
brand, beer style that you would associate with this thing or person.
It's anything beer related, right?
Yes.
Anything beer related. Okay, first one. The EI bro, Old McDonald. What's he drinking?
That's got to be some kind of saison.
Okay.
Oh yeah, or sour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
He cleverly writes these out.
I was trying to think of something
Hey, I would-
broy in the
yes.
craft beer culture. It'll be
I
a
do
double
more of the communicating with getting guests and doing research and doing all the online stuff, and he does more of the writing out the corny jokes.
So I got the EIEI, bro. It's a super turbid, hazy,
Yes, there
a
you go.
northeastern IPA.
There you go.
Is in a 16-ounce can. Not. That's the
EI beer, bro.
Yeah.
Old McDonald. The more adjuncts, the better.
If you put flour in it, I'm buying
Nouveau
McDonald. McDonald.
Alt Nouveau McDonald. Okay. Peanut picking president, Jimmy Carter. What's he drinking?
Oh, didn't Billy Beer?
That was my answer too.
Billy Beer.
That was my answer too.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I guess Billy Beer.
I remember I went to Plains and I was at one of the souvenir shops and they had a full can of Billy Beer. And I'm like,
how much?
well, it was expensive, or else I would have bought it.
I'm sure.
And so I said, is this stuff, do people buy this and drink it? And the guy's like, oh, I don't think it's drinkable. But it really wasn't drinkable in 76 either. That's pretty funny. Okay. Pitchfork wielding dour duo, Ma and Pa from the American Gothic painting.
That's gotta be like a stout, man. It's gotta be like a barrel.
He seems pretty hardy.
Stout,
They both seem hardy.
Yeah, they seem like they would. It might have some dark secrets too. that's where I was getting at. It's like, you're putting on a front there.
They're doing something else with that pitchfork.
Whoa!
Barrel aged. Yeah, no, they've got a barrel aged Berliner Weiss. They've got barrel aged.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they've got something that they've really worked hard on. It was like what was left over from the harvest. They stuck it in a barrel, and they were like they put it away because they don't drink except on special occasions.
Pickled Berliner Weiss.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Probably right next to where they were pickling all their stuff.
We're gonna bring potato.
I was trying to get some. I was trying to get some Dr. Evil holding the cat. But
All right. Albany's own, the Buttery Bell, Paula Dean.
Buttery Bell. I have an answer for this that I can't say.
Add a stick of butter.
The cans of beer we were talking about
there's
earlier.
a lot of IPAs I would like to throw out there right now, but I'll just say a diacetyl laden.
Okay, there you go.
hoppy beer.
Good safe answer. Yeah. Good safe answer.
Good drinkable beer. I don't know. A pale ale.
Yeah.
Pale ale.
I feel like
that
she
just
would
comes to
drink
mind.
like a bacon smoked porter.
I was trying to.
I can see that.
I was trying to keep away from the touchy topics. I don't want to get too
Her favorite's a bacon smoked porter that's been wrapped in a cake.
Right. With a bunch of butter.
That's wrong because we
Yes.
all know she would never drink any beers that are dark.
I was waiting for that joke.
Oh,
I'm glad I didn't go too
Yeah,
soon.
was it a wit
Yeah.
beer? Any wit beer? Is that
Paula. Let's stick with butter.
Yeah,
Let's stick
yeah,
with butter.
Stick with the butter jokes. All right. 19th century tractor troubadour, John Deere.
Ooh.
What's he drinking?
You're a wordsmith, sir.
Green. Yeah, something very.
That's what I was going with, the green and yellow. And I couldn't
green
think
and
of anything.
yellow. Yeah,
Like a
something for me. A lot of tractors.
Kiwi banana.
Something
a
very
nice
malt,
with
very
the,
malt
green
forward.
syrup.
He's you're Berliner with the
He could,
Woodruff.
I could see him. I
Woodruff.
think,
Yeah,
I
you're
think
thinking
he
it.
was from Vermont, so he could be drinking one of those like Switchel,
he's
really vinegary.
Heady.
Vinegar, yes, yeah.
I'll say
My-
I'll
It
say
wasn't
Barry
really a
Card.
style or a type. We just sort of described who we thought he was.
The region where I am from, where I grew up, is where John Deere started. My dad worked. He's retired now, but he worked for John Deere his whole life.
So like the major.
So Toppling Goliath.
Moline, Illinois, is where John Deere started. That's where I'm from. Not
Good.
literally that town, but that's the town I was born in because that's where the hospital is.
All right. And
Yeah,
the
Toppling Goliath.
Pipe work, something. One of those Midwest staples.
all right. And the most obvious, sightless, soulful songsmith, Mr. Ray Charles.
Oh man.
What's he
Is this
drinking?
another Albany reference?
Yeah, he's
it's
from Albany.
Yeah.
You do so much cool research just for these silly questions.
Yeah, I put Albany into Wikipedia.
Fine, let's
15
trade.
minutes later, we're firing off questions.
You definitely do the more work on this, but
Ray Stevens is from there too. He's a comedic country songwriter.
I saw
It's kind
that.
of an
I
interesting
didn't know
little
Paula Dean was. I assumed she was from Savannah.
thing. Yeah.
Anyway,
we claim her
Ray
sometimes.
Charles,
Miller Lite.
Diet Coke.
I was trying to think of a beer that doesn't.
Or is it
Got the right one, baby.
It doesn't look good, but tastes really good. Yeah, one of those. Yeah, I keep saying hazy.
Some of those
Those
like
hazy
creamy
IPAs. They fit that category.
They fit every one of these.
A
Everybody
North-
drinks hazy IPAs
a northeastern
nowadays.
milkshake IPA.
Yeah, everybody
Some of
drinks
those
those
breweries
things
give
nowadays.
no fucks these days. Like I was in Philadelphia by coincidence for a brass conference at the end of Philadelphia Craft Beer Week, and it was the weekend after Tired Hands anniversary. And they brewed like an anniversary beer that was a milkshake IPA, and it was seriously like it was a joke. It was like a double IPA, a hazy IPA, but with lactose and like vanilla ice cream and cocoa nibs, and they literally threw entire ice cream cakes into the boil. And I'm like, they give zero fucks anymore.
that veil
Just
beer.
throw ice cream cakes in it. Anyone's gonna buy it.
Sold it for $12
They'll line
a
up
glass.
down the
Yeah.
How much was the glass?
Yeah, DeVale's making a fried chicken beer, fried chicken. It's an IPA with fried chicken, like.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Maybe the
going
fried
back to
chicken
worst
grease.
farm animal.
No, when I went to both Tired Hands
The grease,
locations.
the oil. Oh my god.
The bigger Tired Hands location, like the whole time I was sitting at the bar, the growler they were smart. They have a separate section where you just get growlers. Literally never didn't have a line the entire time I was there. And then the other location opens up 2 hours later, and I walked over there probably like 20 minutes early, and I was like the third or fourth person in line because everybody knew they had 2 of these anniversary beers still on tap. And by the time they opened, there was like 50 people in line. And I walked in and I said, I need a sample of the 5th anniversary beer and the sample of the ice cream cake beer or whatever. And they gave it to me. And there was like 50 people in line just to get growlers of them. And probably like 12 people in, one of them kicked. And they're like, sorry, we're now out of the ice cream cake beer. And the whole place was like, ah!
And they all walked across the street to Dairy Queen.
It's so thick.
All right, what do we got next? That was the last. You guys handled the minefield with this Cask Me Another
Very
real
nice.
well.
Yes, that was a
Real
good
well.
round.
What do we got? Oh, craft
Like
beer
real
dad
ass.
joke. Do we have any beer left?
Craft beer dad joke of the month.
Thank you.
Anybody
All
else need a top off? There's some random stuff.
All right. So who is this brought to us by this month?
We
get a
didn't get any
sponsor.
specific sponsors.
So what's our bar? Are we going into Pretoria Fields for this joke?
Sure.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So the final segment, at least in the past few episodes, is I tell a bad joke. So
The Antebrewum craft beer dad joke of the month.
dad joke of the month. All right. I don't remember what my joke was. I was going to tell. Okay. So this buffalo walks into Pretoria Fields, and his dad is sitting there. So he goes up to the bar, and dad is so happy to see his son, and so he says, "What do you have? I'll buy you a beer. I'll buy you a beer." I said, Let me get the goza. And so they get 2 gozas, and they drink and they talk, and so the son's like, "Hey, Dad, I gotta go. I'm supposed to meet some people for dinner. You know, we're gonna go out on the range or whatever buffaloes do for."
Go on the range.
And Dad's like, "No, come on, one more beer." So, so okay. So, well, what do you want? Let me try the low alcohol stout. So they get a couple low alcohol stouts, and they're drinking, and they're having a good time, and they're laughing, and the son's like, "Look, Dad, I'm like a half hour late for dinner. I gotta go." And the dad's like, No, just one more beer. And so the son Buffalo says, okay. Dad Buffalo says, what do you want? He says, I'll take the Southern style IPA. Okay, so they get two Southern style IPAs, and they're drinking, and they're having a great time. And the son says, I gotta go, Dad. I got it. I'm like an hour late. My girl Buffalette is gonna be mad at me. And so Dad's like, can't you stay for one more? Can't you stay? We'll finish the core 4. And I'm kind of making this up as I go. No. The son's like, no, I gotta go. So, all right, Dad says, okay, well, one more thing. He says, bye, son.
Oh man!
Check that one.
Wow!
Take a deep drink.
I'm gonna reuse that one.
I actually get these jokes from my dad. So, Dad, have you heard any jokes lately? And he'll tell me a joke, and I'll just recycle.
You got a dad like my dad. He'll tell you the joke about 6 times throughout the day.
Oh yeah. He has good ones. So, anyways, that has been the craft beer dad joke of the month with Pretoria Fields. And what do we got left? I think
That's about it.
About time to sign off. What's your social media again, so people can look it up?
We're at Pretoria Fields on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Heck yeah!
What's our social media?
As always, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Antebrewum, and catch us on Patreon, where you can become a one-time donor or a monthly subscriber. We still have 2 wonderful subscribers, being my
Dave's
mom and Berg, our buddy
Berg
Berg.
still-
Adam is still pumping out.
He is a good guy. He's a good guy.
We can use more because we could get more stats, more web space, more better equipment, etc.
Yeah, but we appreciate you just making it through and listening and liking us. If you have ideas or questions, of course, our Facebook, we're always posting whatever events. We'll post, as you guys are posting events, we'll kind of push them out to our crowd too.
Speaking of which, since this will probably get out on time in the next couple days, this Friday at Red Door Records, where we did a live broadcast for one of their craft beer tastings, they're doing a Georgia beer craft beer tasting. $17 gets you 7 or more half pours of all Georgia beers, hosted by Bill, one of the awesome local beer reps. We've talked about Bill a couple times before. And Ryan and I might make it out, not sure. We talked about it, we'll see. But either way, anybody that's listening, go check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Red Door's an awesome place. They just started happy hour almost every day from 5 to 7, $3 craft beers.
Good deal. They got good craft beers too. As always, our reminder to fiesta responsibly. If you're drinking, have a good time. Don't be a jerk. Don't drive. Have somebody take you home, or at least know your limits. Make sure you're taking care of yourself and other people out there. And our sponsors, we want to thank
5 Points
Five
Fine Wine and
Points.
Spirits.
Go pick up a 6-pack or 2. They got really good beer. We talked earlier about liquor stores not keeping fresh stock in. They always have fresh stock. They don't keep anything around that doesn't need to be around, which we appreciate.
They always get the new stuff, the new seasonals, the new releases,
And
etc.
they do it right, and they're real helpful, and they'll help you out. Any other sponsors this month?
Daniel Opal, of course, Opal Designs, and just I've been around a town a lot lately. Just remember to hit up your favorite spots, drink local, hit back to our Valdosta beer spots episode if you need to. If you're in this town in particular, Blue Cafe, Blue Pub, Craft on Draft, Steel Magnolia, there's lots of good stuff. Just check them all out.
And be ready to head to Albany in a couple months. Yep. And with special thanks for Tripp and Chris for making the ride down here. You guys were great. Loved it, and I'm looking forward to trying the beer.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Plus all ours.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
Look for us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Look for us next month. It's not 100% confirmed on date or guest, but we're thinking it's going to be Georgia Beer Company again.
We've been doing this for a year now.
Next episode will be our 1-year anniversary.
1-year anniversary.
And Georgia Beer Company was our first guest.
They were our first guest.
They weren't our
but they
first
weren't
episode,
first-
but they were our first guest.
It'll be Oktoberfest, so maybe we'll do a special Oktoberfest
We'll do Oktoberfest
4-pack
special again.
Power pack review.
5 Points, I'm sure, would love us to
Fest
push
beers.
Oktoberfest beers.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
With
just
Georgia
a
Beer
disclaimer: don't drink any pumpkin beer yet.
Yeah, please don't.
Just don't.
don't do
Just
it.
don't put out.
I saw
pumpkin
pumpkin and Oktoberfest beers in July.
I know, but just for
Unless-
me,
unless
just
it's-
for me, my sake, don't. I'm talking to this recorder like I'm really trying to get
Listen, Zoom!
but I think I want breweries to remember it's okay to wait till like September or October to put.
Well, you guys will do it right. The pumpkins literally won't even be grown
We won't make a
in July.
We won't make a pumpkin beer.
But if you
Unless
do,
we actually make it in a pumpkin.
Yeah.
or do like a pumpkin sour. Or
Yeah, so
something.
that's what I was going to say. Timmerman's Pumpkin Lambic. Don't be afraid to drink that beer.
You won't make a stout with a
Boulevard.
bunch of pumpkin spice.
We will not.
no,
Yeah.
Boulevard
It actually has no
Funky
pumpkin in
Pumpkin.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, Boulevard Funky Pumpkin. Don't be afraid of those beers, but yeah, stay away from the.
Yeah.
You
That
know
doesn't-
what we're talking about.
I know we were
beer-
trying to close the show, but I meant to say that earlier, and I just felt like I had to get out my chest.
Pumpkin beer is just translation nutmeg beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
pretty
it's
much.
it's
It
hot
is.
in the fall in Georgia, anyways.
Yeah,
Get you a
especially
nice
down here. But I feel like if we don't drink it, maybe they'll push it back. Like September 1st, have at it.
Yeah.
Not August. I don't want Oktoberfest till September.
But we think next episode Georgia Beer Company will be on with some big announcements.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Awesome.
So
But
Looking forward
yeah.
to having those guys.
And hopefully, maybe sometime we can travel up to you guys next time and do it again.
Please
Yeah,
do.
we'd love that.
yeah, we can
Love
do an
to have
episode
you.
from there. We've done a couple.
Sundays are pretty
travel
quiet, so we
trips.
could open the brewery up and y'all have the tap room yourself.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
can't get
You
lost in there.
probably don't want to let us in the town.
Probably don't want to
ourselves.
get lost in there. A few people
got
watching.
full-
Where'd Danny
Yeah.
go?
I don't
know.
Watching.
He's on the bright tank. Yeah.
I'm swimming in the goza. We've had 2 road shows. We did the live tasting at Red Door, and we did the
Piedmont, right?
Piedmont one.
Yes.
that they
Yeah.
listened to. Yeah.
But there's a few other places we got in mind to journey.
We want to hit Omaha. We're gonna be
We'd like to
hitting
hit Omaha and maybe.
Is that
even
close enough to
Columbus.
South Georgia?
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. It's kind of near Columbus.
Yeah.
So it's about an hour and a half.
It's kind of the
from us.
opposite of where you guys are. If you took and just kind of flipped it that way.
Yeah,
That's where Omaha
yeah.
is,
Lake Eufaula. Those guys are pretty. They're Brewer, I believe. I think his name's Nick Fowler. I'm pretty sure, but they do some good stuff over there. Been over
We
there
met
with those
the
guys.
owner, Robert E. Lee.
Doc. Is that
There's one of the guys is named Robert E. Lee.
Yeah, the guy who came down was named Robert E. Lee.
They
It's
did
very
a
memorable
tap
name.
takeover at Craft on Draft,
Oh.
and they had a bunch of their beers on tap.
That's awesome. Those guys have a glycol wine cool ship. They've got like muscadines growing out there. I think they the only way for those guys is up. I think they're
Good.
They're
We've enjoyed their beers. So, all right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next month.
All right, peace out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.